This is only one of about 8 modules inside of my lock-in protocol, which you can find second link description, first link description, something like that. I also have a newsletter. You can sign up to that as well just while you're here. But if you're interested in this video plus a couple of other ones that teach you exactly how to lock in, that teach you exactly how to be consistent, turn your life around from sad, loser, skinny neck, whatever the negative like stereotype is, all the way to being exactly who it is that you want to be and who God has called you to be. Without further ado, we're going to get you one step closer into achieving your potential, and we're going to start right now. All right, so this is module number 4, setting up your habits. This is so extremely important. If I could make you one module for this entire protocol, it would be this one. So pay attention, take notes if you have to, watch it 3, 4, 5, 6 times, constantly refer back to it. I'm going to put little like timestamps in the description of it, whatever. This is extremely important, so pay attention to this. There was this community on school.com, which is a platform that we're on right now, that was called Habit Masters. And essentially, it was this guy named Louis Humble. You can find him on Instagram. I've talked about him previously, like within this protocol. And he had this like habit blueprint of destroying bad habits, creating new ones, being productive, being consistent, all these different types of things. Absolutely changed my life. And essentially what it was is exactly what I am giving you now. It brought me from like a very, not the most depressed period I've been, but a very depressive period where I wasn't really trying hard. I kind of lost my fire, to literally like smiling all the time and being happy and socializing with people. That's a period where I always talk about. I talk to 10 plus new people every single day for months at a time. That was in part, obviously I was the one who did it, but that was in part because of Louis and the systems that he had taught me. And I stole all of those, made them better. I understand them better as well because I've been through it and I can give you my own twist and experience with things. So this obviously isn't like a carbon one-on-one copy, but it is heavily inspired. So if Louis ever sees these, huge shout out to him because you genuinely did change my life, brother. I'm going to be giving you this. So I'm going to keep hyping this up, but this is very important. So pay attention. The lesson of that story I just told you is you need productive habits that you see positive return on. And in order to do that, you need to do them for a long period of time. I did Louis' protocol it was a 14-day protocol. I did that for months. So my action step is going to be for you is to go hard on what I'm about to tell you for at least 7 to 14 days minimum. And if you genuinely see no results and you want to give up, go ahead. But by that point, you will already be making meaningful, noticeable progress within your life throughout like this dopamine. People call it like a dopamine detox. I just call it living like a human. You need to be doing this for a while. Towards the end, I'm going to go into more detail about like you're actually probably going to feel depressed before like the 7-day period starts. It's a little bit weird. That might sound a little bit scary. Just bear with me and listen to what I have to say. First thing, the power of a morning routine. You hear online all the time. There's all these memes of Ashton Hall with like the banana peel on his face and like rubbing water and sprinting and running and all this type of stuff. Wake up at 3 a.m., start actually like your day and working and all those things. 7 a.m., 8 a.m., whatever. Go to bed at 4 a.m., whatever. You wake up at 3, wake up at 4. Perfect. The entire point of a morning routine, it's meant to be fast. It's not meant to, if your morning routine takes more than like 30 minutes, and that's really long, I would say like 15 minutes is probably perfect, then it's too long. The point of it is to force yourself into a rhythm and start the day off with positive, tiny wins. So morning habits, these are the only ones that matter. Anyone else who tells you do other habits is wrong. These are the only ones that matter. Cold exposure, and you might be thinking, what, cold water? I used to be against this for a long time. I did cold showers for, I think, like 1-2 years straight. And then I stopped for another 1 or 2 years. And then recently, like a month ago, I started doing them again. And the only reason is it's because you are training your willpower ability. First thing, when you're not going to remember it for the rest of the day, you're not going to be cold for any longer than like 15, 20 minutes, whatever. The point is to train your willpower ability because there will never, ever be a single day in your life to where you're excited to go into the cold water. Never one day. You will never sit there and think, oh man, I can't wait for my cold shower. You're going to wake up to your alarm, or when you wake up, if you don't use an alarm, you're going to wake up to your alarm and you're going to go, fuck, I have to do a cold shower. I'm coughing as well, so this is fantastic. Never once. It is to train that ability. And you're never going to understand it until you understand it. But I'm telling you, it's very important. If you want to be a strong, masculine, hardworking guy, it's not about the fact that you're in cold water and going, it's the skill of doing something you really, really, with every fiber of your being, don't want to do. That's physically uncomfortable, that's mentally uncomfortable, and that requires you to step into it. When you're sat there looking at the shower for 10 minutes in a row, when I told you your morning routine shouldn't last more than like 30 minutes maximum, that's pushing it. It can last longer than 30 minutes if you're dedicated enough to going in that water, but you haven't like had the spark to actually go in. You haven't been able to force yourself yet to just step forward. I'm telling you, never once in your entire life you will want to do this. And it is absolutely key that you do for that exact reason. A lot of people be like, oh, you're too extreme. Shut the fuck up. I am extreme and I'm making better results than absolutely everybody because I'm doing the simple stuff. You don't need to sit in there with a timer for 5, 10, 15 minutes. Literally dunk your head in, do a quick twirl around, get like your armpits in there so you hit your whole body, then you're done. The whole point is to spark the action, and it's about the speed at which you do it. It's about doing it quickly. It's about sitting there looking and going fuck, and then walking in zero fear, completely unfazed, and going shit, that sucked, but whatever, it got done. Checklist complete. And on to a happier note, you should be praying every single morning. If you know me, you know that I'm highly I wouldn't say religious because I maybe could be doing better. I don't read my Bible maybe as much as I should. I don't believe that past a certain point, I think a lot of people worship the knowledge of the Bible versus the actual teachings. And what I mean by that, if you were to look at Christianity, for example, because I'm a Christian, I can only speak on that. If you were to look at Christianity and just look at the Sermon on the Mount, you would be 95% the way there. A lot of people get addicted to the craft of it, the knowledge of it, the apologetics, arguments, the debates, all that type of stuff. And I got myself into that space for a while. And maybe I'm coping, maybe I'm completely wrong. But I think that is more negative than it is positive in the sense that I'm not trying to get closer to God. I'm trying to be right over other people. Because at the end of the day, that's what I believe, and I'm going to believe in that for the rest of my life. It doesn't matter if I convince other people. I'm not the one doing the convincing. It's me showing who I am, being a symbol of, like, not like a symbol of the religion, but you know what I mean? Somebody who represents a religion, which is every single Christian on planet Earth. We all represent it in some way. It's me as a representative showing this is who I am, this is what I do, this is the way you can live and the life you can live if you decide to give your life to Jesus Christ. That is my perspective. And I don't think that these habits of like getting into apologetics like I did before and like becoming a pastor or a priest or whatever, honestly, if I'm like to be real with you, I think Catholicism, and this is like hugely controversial and I'm going to be very like vague with how I say this because I don't know for sure, but Catholicism to me seems highly unbiblical. I've done quite a bit of research on it. It seems like a bit of a scam. I could be wrong. If you're a Catholic, prove me wrong, make a post about it. I think I'm going to upload this onto YouTube. So make a comment about it. Tell me I'm wrong. I'll gladly convert to Catholicism or whatever. Or I'll fall more into that denomination. I'm non-denominational. I think we follow Jesus, not a specific denomination. But again, I'm weird for that apparently. Pray every single morning. A lot of people here will put meditation, and I'm actually going to go over here. I'll go over why that here. I'll go into it because I'm already segueing in. A lot of people will be like, why is it meditation on here? Everybody says meditation. Meditation is I want to say Eastern religious practice. It's derived from Buddhism and it's derived from Hinduism. It's the art of clearing your mind, making your mind clear. There's a difference between clearing your mind and focusing on your breath versus focusing on thoughts. I've meditated for over 100 hours, maybe hundreds of hours, and I believe that was actually sinful under the Christian light, is that depending on the way that you do it, it is negative. Mindfulness meditation is good. I meditate basically every single day. How I go about it is mindful thinking. So I will let myself have whatever thoughts it is that I want, but I'll try and focus on them and I'll try and only think about them and I'll let them kind of get out. For me, that is so restful and so relaxing. And by the end of 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, I feel like I just slept like 3 hours. It feels absolutely beautiful. It feels fantastic. And for some people, I could say then you're like, oh, 3 hours. You feel kind of shit after you sleep only 3 hours. It's an example. Don't take it as like completely literal. But I'm telling you, doing prayer and doing this type of meditation to where you're focused more and as a matter of fact, we'll add it. Doing this is actually amazing. And I would say that regular, like, I want to say Eastern. I could be wrong. Is it? It's Eastern. It has to be Eastern. These Eastern, like, religious practices, and again, if I'm wrong, my bad. They're sinful under the Christian light. And a lot of people will be like, oh, God's a sin. No, you're wrong. It is sin. God said no. One of the commandments is, do not worship other gods. God said no, therefore I will not. That is a mindset that you need to have towards that. So prayer. Another one is gratitude. A lot of people, when Hamza got popular, for example, a lot of people only got focused on like the journaling aspect. And that's cool. I personally do not do gratitude journaling anymore. And the reason is because I much rather prefer, and obviously you can be like, well, why don't you do both? Shut the fuck up. Yes, you can do both, but when it's kind of like, for example, if you have two types of cardio and one of them's running, which you absolutely hate, and it makes your heart healthier, and you have a sport, like for me it'd be boxing or wrestling or volleyball or something like that, and it does the same shit, obviously you're going to pick the sport every single time. I would rather do the one that's better for me, that I enjoy more. And doing gratitude texts, doing posts like in the community or making comments, phone calls, in-person conversations where you just say, you know what, man, I'm extremely grateful for you. And you're going to have to start with journaling because you have to level up. You have to go through the process. You go through journaling and then you make public posts and then you text people and then you give them calls and then in person you say it. And obviously those can modulate back and forth. But what I'm saying is that try all of them, do all of them. I've journaled hundreds of pages of gratitude. I'm allowed to say I don't do it anymore because I'm past that level. Now I text people and I make posts and I make phone calls and I DM and I'm in person saying I'm grateful for you because of X, Y, and Z. I'm grateful for our friendship, whatever. It's important to be able to express gratitude. The two biggest mental health habits you can have is prayer and gratitude. And people say like mindfulness meditation. We just went over why that's like not optimal for at least me as somebody who believes Christ is the way, the truth, the life. That's not how I roll. So I say prayer over meditation, and they have this literally the exact same psychological effects. So just pick one. If you believe in like Hinduism or Buddhism, do that. I personally disagree, but do whatever you want. I don't really care that much. Prayer and gratitude are the two most important things. I did a course called The Science of Well-Being, and it was by Yale University. I went through that course, and it's absolutely insane what meditation and here, let me give you a different example actually, because I feel like everybody gives that example because it got really popular during COVID. I was actually one of the few people who actually like went through the course, and 99% of people who reference it didn't. I had a yoga instructor come to my school for one of the psychology classes that I'm in. And we all meditated and we all stretched, and it was super fun. And we talked about like goat yoga for a little bit, which was kind of weird. And we did handstands. I did handstands with the girl and like the old like instructor lady and all that type of stuff. Every single person afterwards, because I meditate in the context that we're talking about it all of the time still. And I went through that, and she was like, focus on like your feet and your legs. And to me, that's not like sinful. When we would do that, everybody afterwards was like, oh my God, I feel so great. And I'm like, yeah. And the thing is, they all knew that I meditated. They all knew that I would talk about these habits because I bring it up every once in a while, and you don't need to be like obnoxious about it, but you talk about it with people and you speak to them and you're like, oh yeah, no shit. It's good for you. The thing is with this, it has good instant effects, but it has good long-term effects as well. Because how I like to think about meditation, and maybe not so much gratitude, but meditation specifically, it kind of reverses the effects of like scrolling. So it increases your attention span. It makes your brain like more focused. It allows you to kind of like not have TikTok brain, basically. Gratitude allows you to improve your relationships, because if you're grateful for someone, you're allowed to be able to connect with them so much more deeply. Imagine Imagine how much better your relationship would be, like with your mother, for example, or your best friend or whatever, if you were able to say, I'm actually grateful for you, instead of just like, funny 6767, making like retarded jokes, making like sex jokes to each other or whatever. Like you guys are both guys and you're like, oh, I'd fuck you. There's some like Muslim dude who's like, I was gonna do the accent, but I'd get fucking canceled instantly. There's gonna be some Muslim dude who's like, oh no, I would never, but whatever. Imagine how much better your relationship would be if you could just say, I'm grateful for you. Another thing, another side point that I just thought of is that gratitude and stress come from the same part of the brain. That part of the brain can only activate one thing at the time. If hypothetically you're in a constantly grateful mood, it would be impossible for you to be stressed. Or it's actually anxious is the emotion I'm thinking of, or the feeling. It would be impossible for you to be anxious. Think about that. Imagine that you were the type of person who could get into like horrific shit, like a car hit you, like you broke your arm, and you could laugh there, like genuinely laugh. This is the type of person I am. You'd be able to laugh and go, well, at least it wasn't my dick. Think about how like weird that is. Think about how crazy that is, that you can be that type of person. So I really want you to take these two seriously. So setting aside a time to journal, to meditate, to pray, whatever. Again, I would make these into separate habits: prayer, talking to God, versus mindful thinking, which can like be intertwined with talking to God, but that's not necessarily like the purpose. It's more so to like refresh and rewind and be present with yourself. Next thing, morning habit, deep work. This is called eating the frog online. I hate this analogy personally. I've used it a couple times in videos. I personally don't like it. I think it's weird. Essentially, your brain works the best when you first wake up, when you have nothing distracting you, when you've had all the positive momentum of the morning routine, when you're creating positive momentum by working first thing in the morning. You have a good 1 to 4 hours in the morning where you're most productive. That's science. That's humans. That's how it works. Don't say, I actually work better at night. Shut the fuck up. No, you do not. You work best in the morning, like every other person. Doing your deep work first thing in the morning is the thing that's going to allow you to be successful in your studies, in your work, in your business, in your fitness. Fitness, personally, I'm not necessarily there, just because like I'm more mentally sharp. My body kind of hasn't warmed up, and it's kind of just like weird for me. So maybe I am coping. Maybe I'm one of the people who need to shut up. But for me, fitness isn't necessarily a thing I like doing in the morning. I've done it before. I've went through periods where I'm up at 5 a.m. working out. The workouts just aren't as good, to be quite honest. I prefer working out in the morning, but after I've eaten and after I've worked for a little bit and I've kind of like woken up and I've gotten my caffeine in and my carbs and all that type of stuff. That's how I am. You could be different. But setting aside, basically the hardest, this is where the analogy comes in of eat the frog. Like if you were to have a meal and you had to eat a frog, but afterwards or with the meal, it was like steak and rice and like delicious, like your favorite food ever. The idea is you would eat the frog first. You would get it out of the way. The first few bites of the meat or the steak or whatever would be a little bit weird, but the rest of it would be absolutely delicious, instead of you eating the frog at the end. So you have the taste in your mouth the rest of the day because like you haven't brushed your teeth or you don't have a toothbrush. It's a weird analogy, but that's how it works. Versus that, essentially the idea is do the hardest thing first thing in the day. And for me, it's probably deep work, but for you, it could be fitness. And I would say if you're a young guy, especially if you're in good shape, doing 1-2 workouts every single day, weightlifting 4, 5, 6, 7 times a week. Yeah, 7. A lot of people are like, oh, that's not optimal. Shut the fuck up. You'll take rest days naturally as you need them, as you learn when you need rest days, as you get weaker, as you get more fatigued. You'll learn. You're not even strong enough to fatigue yourself as a beginner, so shut the fuck up. Doing boxing training, doing fight training, doing cardio, whatever. We're going to go more into that later. But for now, these are morning habits. you may have to wake up earlier for this, in which case just set your alarm, set a time to wake up an hour earlier, and then go to bed 30 to 60 minutes sooner than normal. Do this up until you wake up at a reasonable time. Scientifically, if you want to go for like the optimal circadian rhythm clock, like timing, it's 15 minutes every single day. For me, this is too slow. Just be tired an extra day or two. You'll be completely fine. You'll live. Be a little bit disciplined. It's not too hard. Again, there's a different module within this protocol. I think it's like module 7, 8. I'm not going to say 6 before 7 because the fucking 6, 7 kids will come in and all that bullshit. But I say 30 to 60 minutes. You can do shorter if you want. You can do 5 minutes. It doesn't matter. Again, at the end of the day, it's whatever you're going to stick with. Personally, I think everybody can do this, but some people might not be at that level yet. So absolutely no problem. We're all improving. So this is my recommendation. Scientifically, it's 15 minutes. If you need to do less, do less. If you need to wake up, like let's say you need an hour to do this full morning routine. If you only do half of it for 30 minutes, that's completely fine. Bad habits. We also need habits to replace bad habits. The reason why I'm not saying stop them, never do them again, is because you don't stop bad habits, you replace them. It's not a case of never do these things again, because no single human on planet Earth is going to stare at the ceiling bored the entire day when they could be gooning or playing video games or whatever. These are habits you can use in place of scrolling, junk food, porn, video games. You know what bad habits are. It's instant gratification activities that spike your dopamine, that make you more unhappy on a long term, that are fun, interesting right now, that don't lead to anything productive. This is an extreme view. People will be like, oh, it's extreme, whatever. Shut the fuck up. No, it's not. You're wrong. I'm right. The entire world is wrong. I am right. Some things you can do is reading, more deep work, doing shallow work, or instead of like doing the most important task for the day, let's say for me it's recording the protocol and recording videos and all that type of stuff. Shallow work would be like me responding to messages, and it would be me maybe making copy and pasting a post from my Notion and posting it to YouTube. It could be weightlifting. It could be cardio. I personally prefer either playing a sport or exploring. Cardio to me is the most boring thing on the planet, whether it's HIIT, whether it's long distance running, whatever. It's boring. I hate it. I don't like it. I do exploration cardio where I'll go on my bike and I'll go all around like my city, and I'll just go from place to place, and I'll stop by places, and sometimes I'll maybe go to like a shop or something because I'm able to do that now. Your boy got a little bit of money from this online business stuff. Cardio, sport, whatever. I play volleyball. I'm really fucking good at volleyball. I've always been really good at volleyball. Again, played at nationals. I had one of the best serves in the country. That's a fact. Really good. Suck balls. Using School, Substack, or Twitter. The reason why I say School, Substack, and Twitter, because I post on School and Substack, and the reason that's actually going to help you, and that isn't selfish for me, and that makes kind of like my business better, because that's where my newsletter and obviously this community is on Twitter. It's mostly reading. It's free speech, so you get to be around real people. Again, there's a lot of like extreme views on Twitter, and it's kind of like a gross place to be, and it's going to like mess with you mentally. And if you're the type of person like get angry and reply to people, then don't be on Twitter because you're a twat. But reading, looking at what's happening in the world, I think is the most important thing. And I just realized that it's called X now and not Twitter. So go on x.com instead. I personally don't use it. This is just when I was making this presentation, I figured it would be a good idea for you to do maybe, or just like as an idea for me in the future. Educational content consumption. This is, for example, you can have two types of videos. You can have videos like mine where I teach you something, and protocols like this where I teach you something and there's action for you to take and there's an actual noticeable improvement that will come to your life. And then you have Mr. Beast videos where it's like, I trapped 100 pedophiles in a circle with 1,000 kids. First not to get raped wins $69,000. If that is the case for you, where you're watching entertainment-based content like Mr. Beast, cut that out. Educational content is key. Reading is peak of educational content, along with courses. My ear's itching like crazy. Reading and courses are the two best ways to consume content, because the entire goal is just to educate you, especially if it's a paid course. I paid hundreds of dollars in courses and lectures and all those different types of things. I've made some because I know the value in it. I'm the type of person who has like ethics and things to stand by. I will never sell something that I didn't personally believe in. Educational content consumption is huge. Just you need to not kind of like do it in a glorified way to where you're watching 3, 4, 5 hours of content a day. An hour a day, yeah, that's fine. I personally am on like, unless I'm watching a podcast, like no more than like 10, 15, 20 minutes. I'm not on the internet at all anymore recently. Like I'm literally I'm an educational content creator, and I'm not on the internet at all, other than to go on school, to go on my newsletter, and to make stuff like this, which is on school. Socializing, going out, hanging out with people, saying, I'm going to go to the park and I'm going to say hi to 5 people while walking. Cool. That's hugely productive. That'll take you maybe an hour if you screw around, whatever. That's an hour gone. Journaling, writing down things, writing down thoughts you've had, ideas you've had. I've never been somebody who's gotten into journaling like as a habit. All of these things for me are more like intuitive. So I have something called a timetable. So I write down like what I do every single day. And I'll have from 5 a.m. all the way up to 10 p.m. when I go to sleep. I didn't live like that for a while, and I still kind of don't. Even with my timetable, it's like a guide for the day. It's not necessarily, this is what I do, I'm going to do this, I'm required to do this, whatever. If I find something better to do, if I want to go over, let's say, here I get off of recording and like quote unquote work at 8:45. If I felt like getting off at 8:30, if I felt like getting off at 9:30, 10, 11, 12, I'm allowed to do that. I'm not confined to that schedule. Journaling for me is one of those things that you only do when you need it. When you are held with a hard decision, when you're held with a very like profound insight that you want to have written down on paper, one, so you remember it, and two, so you remember it better, so it sticks in your brain harder, that is when you journal. Sleeping, taking naps are fucking productive because it's rest. So many people be tired, and instead of just going to bed and lying down, they'll be scrolling on their phone, or they'll be in bed going, I'm going to go to sleep, and then scroll on their phone for 18 hours. Just sleep. Take a nap. Let's see if I can think of more. Going out with girls, hanging out with girls, cold approaching, getting practice at going up, complimenting people, getting numbers, whatever. You need to be attractive for this to work, and you need to be maybe relatively tall. I'm short and I'm able to do this, so maybe I'm just suave as fuck. Who knows? I said bit more business work. Getting on calls, free calls with people that buy your product, seeing what they like about it, what they don't like about it. Calling a friend and talking about life, masculinity, what's going on in the world, self-improvement. You can do that within this community. Literally just say, hey bros, looking for someone's WhatsApp. Can you help me? Bada bing, bada boom. Nice. What else? That's kind of it. There's more that you can do, I'm sure. Learning a language, playing chess. Those are 2 that I do. Well, I do. I say I'm learning Russian. I haven't fucking opened Duolingo or talked to my Russian speaking friends in forever. So I'm learning Russian. That's kind of it. But never, ever in your life say, because of your infinite options, I have nothing productive to do. You always do, including rest. Sitting around doing absolutely nothing is productive if it is needed. Going out in the sun, hanging out, reading a book, eating food, doing all those things, those are productive. That is productive. Not playing video games, scrolling on your phone, gooning, whatever. That's never, ever, ever going to be your best option. How to actually go about this? How do you actually track these things? How do you make sure you're doing what you're supposed to, all these things? The action step that I'm going to be giving you is to create a habit tracker. You can do a digital one where it's kind of like this. Is my Notion document that I used for a while. It's blank because I haven't used it in forever. Or you can make it on paper. I have this right here, my current habit tracker. It doesn't have to look exactly like this. It can literally just be lines, habits, and then whatever. Fill these with the habits I mentioned before. So for me, I have reading, waking up at 5 a.m., cold exposure, praying, going to the gym, recording stuff for YouTube, doing schoolwork, and then working on my timetable. How do you actually go about this? Defining consistency. Here, let me actually do this because I thought I had more in. A lot of people look at being consistent as like a streak. It's a did I do X thing 30 days in a row? It's not that. Consistency isn't binary or not. It's not did or didn't. It's how well or how often you did something. It's a percentage and not a yes or no clicker. Like you know those, this is going to be a weird example. You know those light switches that go up and down, and like the top one turns the light off and the bottom one turns the light on? That's not consistency. It's not the light is always on. It's when it goes off, do you press it again? When it turns off, do you press it again? It's clicking on and off day by day. It's not on or off permanently. It's thinking about it, and I can even write this out, I think. It's thinking about it is, if you had this habit tracker where you had, like, for me, it'd be 5 a.m., and then it'd be like work. Here, we'll do deep work. The W stands for work, and I just realized that I'm not able to do that. W stands for work, and then like gym, G. If I'm making this, and I check these off, I'm like, oh, I'm so consistent. I've been consistent 2 days in a row. And then I miss this day. I'm not inconsistent with doing work. I just missed a day. Then I come back and oh, boom, I'm chill. Maybe I miss another day. Maybe I miss another day. Maybe I miss another day. Now, because if we look at the percentage, I'm probably more inconsistent than I am consistent. But defining consistency isn't yes or no. It's how consistent am I? I would say I'm not very consistent with working because I missed 3 days in a row here. I only successfully did, 3 days out of 7 days? Yeah, I'm probably not very consistent. But my consistency rating is 30 to 40%, if we're going by the math of it. If you started at 20, then you improved. You're more consistent. Now, when you make it go to 50%, let's say you do this for 30 days and you do the habit 15 days out of the 30 days, you're 50% consistent. That's 10 or 20% more than you were before. Then next month, it might be 70 because you kind of get like a little boost because you're motivated. Cool, you're at 70. Maybe next month you're at 65. Damn it, you went down a month. That kind of sucks. Now, you can't see this, can you? 70. Now, you're at 80. You had a good month. Then you kind of coast around 80. We'll move this over here. You kind of coast at 80 for a few months. You switch between like, I don't know what this is. Switch between 80, like 90%. You're actually doing really well. Here you can kind of sit. If you really want to go for it and you want to talk about like 100% consistency, then you can do that, and there's no negative to doing that, obviously. But what a lot of people will look at, they'll look at consistency and think it has to be this 100. This is consistency, 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 this, 10%, this. These are all consistency. They're just different degrees. And you have to look at it in this way. You can't say, oh, I'm not at 100, so I'm inconsistent. No. That's not how that works. You're at 90, you're at 80. You're not 100% consistent. You're not fully consistent. But I guess you would be, because if you did something 80% of the time for your entire life, would you not be very consistent at that thing if we're really to boil it down? Even if you did it 50% of your days for the rest of your life, if you lived, what's a good number? 10 years. Let's say you live, I don't know, let's say you live 15,000 days. It's like roughly 50 years-ish, I think. I could be completely wrong on that math. It's rounded down, so it's rounded down to 300, so calm down. If you were to do something for, if you were to be alive for 15,000 days and you did it for, here, let's give an easier number. If you're alive for 10,000 days, let's say you die early, and 5,000 of them, you did something for like 1-2 hours a day, you would be at the 10,000 hour mark. If you did 2 hours a day, 50% of your days, you would be at the 10,000 hour mark where people say that you're an expert in something. And you're only halfway there. You're only doing it half of the time. Think about how insane that is. That's actually crazy. Like, to think about that you're an expert in something that you do half of your days. And that can be not doing it for a month, doing it for a month, not doing it for a month, doing it for a month. That could be skipping a whole year, and then another 2 years, you're 50-50. And then maybe like you do some extra. So you'll do 3-4 hour days because you're super driven towards it. Consistency isn't binary. And what I mean by that is it's not a 1 or 0. It's a 1 through 100. The further this way you go, the better you will be. I'm going to move this over here. The further this way you go, the better you will be. The further this way you go, the worse you will be. This is bad. This is good. If you're constantly going in this direction, that is good. If you're constantly going in this direction, that's probably bad. Next module. I kind of cooked for that. I'm proud of myself for this one. Another way you can do this is accountability posts. So we went over like the habit trackers. This is a secondary way you can do it. You can literally just take a picture of like this piece of paper here, or like take a screenshot of this and just make a post. Kevin, for example, he posts the journal date and then like the day of the week. You don't have to put the day of the week, obviously, because the date is right there. But he'll say he did his morning routine and he did his weight and cold shower and journal and read and 20 minutes outdoors and deep work, not procrastinating and eating healthy and mostly whole foods. He hit his calorie goal of less than 2,000 calories, his protein goal. He drank 2 liters of water. He worked out. He did not, and this is where we get into it. And I'm going to move my camera again just so you can see. He did not turn his screens off by, what's that? 9:30, I think, right? No, that'd be, yeah, that's 9:30. By 9:30? Oh, it says it, I'm dumb. He was not in bed by 10 p.m., but he did do his evening routine. This is where other people, after a few days of missing this habit, people will say, hey, you keep missing being in bed by X time. They will hold you accountable. They'll make fun of you. They'll bully you a little bit. They'll make you feel bad and feel worse. You either stop posting, which people will notice, or you actually do the habit, or you lie. So your two options are bad. One option is good. One of them is you did the thing that you set out to do that's going to make your life better in the long run because you know it's going to make it better, and you have it written down on purpose for a reason, or you're a liar, or you're a coward. And you don't want to be either of those things. So you have to do it. Writing accountability posts saying that, hey, these are all my things. And this is a copy and pasted prompt, by the way. He's not like actively writing out these emojis. It's literally copy and pasted. And then he'll put the emojis after each thing at the end of the day. And then he'll submit it. And then it is how it is. I guarantee you it doesn't write out this whole thing. It's literally copy and pasted. He has it in his notes somewhere. Pastes. Adds the X's or the checks to signify whether or not he did it, and then that's it. In summary, Habit Masters changed my life. Doing this protocol will change yours. Morning routines are dope and important. Replace bad habits. You don't break them. Be productive 100% of the time. Make a habit tracker, and then boom, you win. Quick warning. You will most likely feel some element, and this is going to sound kind of strange, some weird element of depression or like weird like mental health stuff for like the first 3 to 6 days. It's completely normal. When you go through very dramatic changes like this, it takes like an adaptation period. If you think about weightlifting, for example, you get sore before you get stronger. You do bicep curls, for example, and you're doing curls and you're using like the 15s and you're like, yeah. The next day you're sore. The day after you're sore. The day after that you're sore. The day after that you might still be sore, depending on how much volume and intensity and how experienced you are and what your diet's like. Whatever. But then when you're not sore anymore, when you get back, when you do the curls again, the 15s actually feel really light. They're on the 20s. And you did the 20s and you're like, whoa, I've never been able to do that before. And you're like, the next day you're like, shit, I'm sore. And then the day after that, and the day after that, day after that. And then you're stronger. Then you're like, let me grab the 25s. And you grab the 25s and you're like, whoa, this feels like the 15s did that one time. I know it's more pressure. I know that it's more, but it doesn't feel like more. I'm still able to do the same amount of reps. And you're like, dope. Sore. Plateau, deload, sore. Few weeks, grab the 30s. You're like, there's no way I'm curling these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Whoa. I did the same amount of reps, but with double the weight. That's actually really cool. It's an adaptation process. You're going to be sore before you make the progress. Don't give up while you're sore. You need to push through it. And then I can almost guarantee you, you will love life even more. Even if you're still in a dark place, you'll be in a lighter place than you are. Your body's correcting itself during this process, which it doesn't like doing. So it makes you not want to do the process by depressing you. Beat your biology. That's been everything for this mini presentation. This is the most important module inside of this protocol, and I'm so glad that I've been able to make it for you. That's as long as it is, it's detailed as it is. I'm going to add timestamps for you. I'm going to add these modules in for you inside of the protocol. I'm very proud of this. So I really do hope this helps someone, because this would have helped me a ton when I was younger. Without further ado, take action, make your habit tracker, make your post. Keep doing the best of doing your best. Go on to the next module after you make your post right now.